Today, we're going to take a closer look at this trailer. A trailer that we, and I'm sure all of us, have collectively watched 5 billion times.
Easily.
Takeaway from my most recent watch. If I was a completely fresh viewer, a fan of Game of Thrones, or just a fan of HBO, or someone that was on the internet the day that the trailer dropped because it was trending all over the place, I would think that they're trying to do a different kind of show.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's the Game of Thrones universe, but it's funny and lighthearted, and this tale might just be about a coming of age story of a young guy who's just not a real knight, and those mean Targaryens aren't actually all they're cracked up to be. And what better person to share this wisdom than a young kid that has some strangely wise and virtuous spirit for some reason,
and a very high-pitched voice and a bald head.
That's right, a strangely bald head.
Yeah.
And so that's the vibe that I got after rewatching the trailer. Obviously, we know more, so it was hard to go through the first viewing and not bring that point of view because we've obsessed over the story endlessly on this show and between ourselves. But that was the takeaway. So I feel like they successfully did that. And we tried to record this podcast yesterday. And one thing that you said within like the first 3 minutes was there was a turning point in the trailer. Whenever Dunk was approaching the I'm not sure what the character's name would be here, but in the story in the trailer where the guy says, "Are you Baelor Targaryen?" And then here in Hannah's notes it says major tone shift. Cut to Stablehand and Dunk. No. Then would you move the fuck out of the way? Yeah, sorry. And it leaves in the yeah, sorry.
It does.
And then it shifts.
That trailer moment, for how many times we've watched it, makes me LOL every single time because it is so funny. And it's like you said, people who are just normie Game of Thrones fans, they click on the trailer because it's a new HBO Game of Thrones series, and the first 20 seconds feel like, okay, this is what we're used to.
In a world where
swords, shields, drama, death, it's gray, it's raining, and then all of a sudden this hilarious moment happens, and the actor who is playing the Stablehand, I guess, here, his face is so perfect. You've got to pause on it right now.
This is the first podcast we're recording in years of the video, by the way. It's on our new YouTube channel. So if you're watching there, welcome. If you're listening, go try to find it now. We'll put it on one of our social media accounts. The reason why it's new is because over the last 2 weeks when we reset our email account, I accidentally deleted our entire old YouTube.
So we're starting fresh. Come follow along.
If you were subscribing before, please go resubscribe.
But if you want to see this guy's face, pause it absolutely perfectly. That's the place to go. I love that the trailer starts off with the typical classic tone that we've come to expect, and then we get a complete shift very early on, and then the rest of the trailer really follows that like light, warm, levity, kind of funny tone throughout the entirety of the rest of the trailer. I know that there's some pretty big moments that we'll talk about with the trial of the 7, and obviously this isn't an easy journey for Dunk, but I just really like that from the outset. It's like they almost try to trick us. Like, you already know what this is going to be. And I didn't notice
that on my first watch through, but that's what's happening. And if I were to look at it from a clean set of eyes, maybe I would be skeptical. Maybe I would think that what they've done before wasn't working and that they're trying something new, or that if it was working, then they're still just for the sake of it trying something new. And we know where The Hedge Knight was published in the order of A Song of Ice and Fire books coming out. We know that a lot of the lore that we've come to theorize about and the future parts of the series that have yet to been published, and the history that so many of us obsess about and a lot of us continue to only tweet about and continue to make their identity about these forlorn, very like rare characters from the series and make costumes from those eras. A lot of that came out of The Hedge Knight, or at least this A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms 3-series novella that we have published right now, which will potentially lead its way to the tragedy at Summerhall. And a lot of that meat on the bones of A Song of Ice and Fire came from I don't know which, if it was if this is a chicken and the egg, I don't know which came first. If the author GRM felt a necessity to build out things like the Blackfire Rebellion and the different eras of the Targaryen family weighing so much on Westeros, if that came out of, well, there needs to be substance in this, or if the ideas were there first and then this was a vehicle for some of that. But we know that the novellas are crucial to the entire series from that point of view, just from the genesis or potential genesis of some of those ideas. And so when we see A Night of the Seven Kingdoms getting made into an HBO series, we're like, hell yeah, everyone, you guys are all in for it. Just wait for season 3.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But I'm just trying to see it from a fresh set of eyes since we're breaking down the trailer today. I'm just curious, like, what do you think that a casual viewer would think about seeing this and keeping in mind the misdirection and keeping in mind the very purposefully put in happy music at the end?
Yeah, I can't help but think, are there even any normies left out there?
No.
Like, who is out there that doesn't understand what Game of Thrones
good
is?
For George and HBO, that's true.
I know, but don't you think? Because I want to say, hey, everybody, let me know what your mom thought about this. But I think all of even my mom knows.
My grandma was like, that's great.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So looking at it from that perspective, I feel like is almost really hard to do. But I think that this is a welcome reprieve. And I don't say reprieve in a negative sense. It's just a welcome reprieve from the heavy storyline that we've been working through, not just in House of the Dragon, but also through the end of Game of Thrones. And as we as fans look towards Winds of Winter, I mean, I just feel like so much of the material is really heavy. And so much of the...
It's going to get heavier.
It is. And so much of the theorizing and the conversations that we have are surrounded by these really heavy themes. And not that there aren't really great narratives in here about coming of age, like you were saying, or what it means to be quote unquote better than someone or a true knight, or there's so many of those things intertwined throughout this story.
You can,
yeah,
like
exactly. So many of those things intertwined about this story, but I think that when I think about it from a writing perspective and from a viewer perspective, the opportunity to be in Westeros without the weight of the world on your shoulders, and the ability to kind of play around in the space and to explore the perspective of a different person. I think anybody who is coming to this with fresh eyes is going to be immediately charmed, just because that stable hand, who that would be?
Yeah, I don't remember his name for the book.
It's so hilarious. Like I think the acting really shines through. I think they picked some really great key moments to kind of draw you in. And so I think that this is a very easy sell because it doesn't feel disingenuous. It doesn't feel, the phrase I'm thinking about is like Marvel-esque. Like it doesn't feel kind of forced in we're going to make this joke work because we're going to repeat it 100 times. Like it just feels very lighthearted and warm, So that's the thought I had.
It might be welcome for people that are used to seeing the efforts of HBO in January.
Yeah, I think so.
In February.
I think so.
Like, The Last of Us, everyone's dead. And a lot of the people that are dead are walking around. True Detective, we're in Alaska and it's dark the entire time.
Yeah. Can we just watch a nice TV show? Can we just have some laughs,
I didn't see any negative feedback about the trailer. Any like passive-aggressive yawning. I think the most that I saw was HBO got tricked again. Another unfinished book series being adapted.
I know.
Which is very funny.
Well, I also was reading that, and I didn't realize this, but apparently George said years and years and years ago that he would never do A Night of the Seven Kingdoms until it was finished. And I'm like, well,
did he really say again?
That? Somewhere on his blog, I think like literally maybe 10
like it wouldn't be
plus
adapted
years ago
until it was finished?
Yeah, until it was finished.
Well, that's a good thing to change your mind about.
I cannot agree more that this is the direction that they went into. So I've been very pleasantly, not surprised, but happy to see the feedback from this trailer because everybody seems to be psyched on what we're seeing for good reason.
Yeah, and after the success of all their efforts at New York Comic Con, I just think that the hype is really positive and alive. And we're gonna go through this trailer and try to guess about some things that are happening in January. But I hope that come January, that everyone is just like, yes.
Well, and I think
that's gonna be so good for Hot D.
It's gonna be so good for Hot D. It's gonna be so good for Winds of Winter. And I think
so my theories are coming true.
As we go into the trailer breakdown, the reason why I think everybody's bought into this so easily, so quickly, is because from the get-go, we're getting literal book-to-screen this is art from the book itself brought to life in the screen. And when we were doing our first initial reaction, I felt that, but I wasn't able to articulate it because, it'd been a while since I'd flipped through the books.
Yeah, recently.
And so to go back with a slower pace and a more watchful eye and to see the tree is the same exact tree, and it's
a little fancier.
It's a little fancier.
A little more Halloween-y.
But it's all there,
yeah.
And so from the first couple seconds, they're saying to both big fans like us and to our moms and grandmas who just are looking for a fun show to wind down to, hey, like, we're paying attention to the source material, and you can trust us with this one. Is what I was feeling.
So on the screen right now, we have the Gianni illustration from the beginning of the Hedge Knight, and we have this first shot of the trailer here, and it's pretty much 1-to-1 in the framing.
Mm-hmm.
And then next, there's Dunk carrying Sir Arlen's body from a different angle, but the same exact energy. So you're right.
It's just from the very first moment. So I thought that was a really good message to send.
We may had all those illustrations and all of the illustrations from the graphic novel to pull out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mike S. Miller. All right, let's go through this. Beautiful.
100 years before Game of Thrones.
Wide shot, riding away with thunder, Sweetfoot and Chestnut, trying out Sir Arlen's gear.
I really like that they put this moment in the trailer. Not long after Sir Arlen is buried, Dunk is kind of thinking to himself, what the heck is he going to do?
Yeah.
Should he, because he's alone for the first time in his life, basically, now he's without his mentor. And so what happens next? And I really like this moment because he's kind of messing around and going through his equipment and seeing everything, taking stock of his wares. Possible. And he puts the sword in his hand and he goes, you know what? I could go to the tourney at Ashford Meadow.
We're already headed there anyway.
This sword feels kind of good in my hand. Maybe I could do this. And so I like the determination that he's got in his face here.
The risk of doing another book podcast about this, but that's where we learn a lot about him as a person, the way that he thinks about what's worth doing, whether to exchange cheap thrills for a short amount of time for the gear that he has, or even for one of the 3 horses and you find there that he has this like love for them, and so he wouldn't want to trade their safety, their knowing that they're okay with him for only 3 months of comfort somewhere,
right,
or a month of sleeping under a roof. Instead he thinks that it's better to put his body on the line and potentially like risk being embarrassed to try his luck at the tournament instead of just knowingly selling what he has just for a short amount of comfort and good times. And so we're all automatically, we're all of us, we're like, oh, is this the first representation of a true knight that we've gotten in a long time on this thing?
It's hard not to be charmed by that.
All right, so we're not going to talk about every single thing that's on the screen, obviously, because that would take way too long, and I would basically talk about the knitting pattern of Steely Pate's armor here, whether the chainmail was done correctly, book accurately. I'm just going to skip past that. And apologies to anyone that's just listening. We'll try to skip through this as fast as we can. But the beginning of the trailer is before the change you were talking about is showing Dunk suiting up in a traditional sort of medieval movie style, like getting ready for the big scene. And then this is where it breaks here in Ashford.
And I think that suiting up moment is him preparing for his first tilt at the tournament, is my guess, based on the scenes that we're seeing here.
Yeah, we were talking about that before, and I wasn't sure how the armor exchange would go, because after he sells his horse and he's able to barter some of it for the first suiting up before all the stuff goes down later in the story. And we're going to try to be as spoiler-free as possible without being ridiculous, because we know that if you're listening to this 14 days after the trailer came out, that you've already read the book, or
probably within the last 14 days.
Yeah, or you've listened to the podcast about it and you already know what's up. But we're not going to, like, for example, spoil the big flourish at the end of the season, just in case. But when he's first getting armored up, there's a chance that Steely Pate helped him put some of it on. But as we know later in the story, I think it would make a lot of sense that those grubby fingers would be like happily putting that armor on for him.
Fair, yeah.
But maybe a few extra pieces, if you know what I'm saying.
I love so much about these early interactions that we get with both Dunk and Egg, because they're very true to the text. I was even surprised to find and remember that this "I'll hunt you down with dogs" moment is pulled from the text. And obviously Dunk doesn't bark in the book, but I kind of like that additional flourish.
Can't believe they added a bark.
I like it. I like it. His face there, Egg's face, as he's saying, where's he going to get these dogs from, is so funny. I like the little bark. It just warmed me to remember and to see, as I was saying at the beginning of our discussion, so many things we weren't able to articulate because we were so excited seeing it for the first time. But it was so exciting because we were picking up on these elements that have been stored away, that were kind of in the back of our brain. And so pretty much
go on.
I was going to say pretty much every interaction in this little clip here that you just ran through is pulled directly from the book.
I was going to say that they really rolled the dice on casting Dexter Soul Ansel because I don't know if they made him shave his head at any point before.
What's it going to be like
actually
under there?
Filming? But he's got a pretty good egg-shaped head. Like they scored pretty well with that.
He does.
There we go.
I've just been curious, trying to pick up clues from the trailer. Maybe you've seen some or not. How they're going to play that reveal out throughout the course of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be something that's kept a secret from both the audience and from Dunk? Is that something that we're going to be able to pick up on really easily? Because wink, wink, do you know every night in the Seven Kingdoms, the good ones, like is there going to be enough clues to the viewer that maybe Dunk's in the dark, but we're with Egg in on this little secret? Or is it going to be something that we find out together at the end? Please, everybody keep that a secret from the people you know, because I think it's going to be so rewarding if they keep it till the end. But just something I've been thinking about as I've been watching the interactions from the trailer. Obviously, we have 0% of real clues, but I can't help but be excited about that.
If it's like the book and you have to adapt it, you have to put the sort of comfort of how he feels on the screen. Like he was directed to be a noble.
Yeah.
But when you first meet him, he's naked. I'm not sure if they're actually going to
I don't think
they're actually going to do that. But that does a little bit to delete from his nobility. So I think it'll be a mixture of that. But like I said, it kind of felt at the beginning of this trailer like a sort of typical medieval movie, happy-go-lucky trailer. And a character like him reminds me of a sort of early Arya. And people are used to seeing these inexplicably smart kids that sort of carry the wisdom and virtuosity of people way older than them.
So it doesn't necessarily have to mean that they're
automatically
highborn or better blood. Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So, but I think that, and there's a couple other scenes, I guess we can talk about it when we get closer to them, but I just hope that Egg's role isn't too obvious and that Dunk's role isn't reduced because of who they are.
Yeah, same. All right, we have to talk about this because everyone is, and it's important.
The new Targaryen banners.
First off, these pennants with the dragon wings going down them, it feels straight ripped out of the Hedge Knight.
It literally is.
Love.
It literally is.
Taking advantage of the not just the art style in Westeros, but how it's being done, like the way the dragons are usually put on the armor. And the wings of dragons come off in different ways to sort of describe the personal style of the person wearing them. Taking advantage of the shape of a pennant and making the Targaryen wings go down it, the shape of the actual war banner is the shit.
It is so awesome. It literally is from the art from the story. I have it up on the screen. Yeah. You can take a look at it. But again, just another touch, A, because we know the drama behind this from House of the Dragon, and B, because we're pulling it from the book itself. Just these little subtle touches.
So this original dragon design, the dragon with the legs instead of straight up just having wings for arms, is in medieval fiction. There's typically a difference between a kind of dragon, like a dragon that has this extra set of feet versus a dragon that just has the wings. And most people associate that with intelligence. And I think of something like World of Warcraft. Like those dragons are telepathically connected with people. They're able to, at a lot of times, see the future, travel into the past. Like they have a lot more magical abilities than like even like a normal wizard would have. Whereas a dragon like we're used to seeing on GOT, like a Drogon, is more dog-like or reptilian, a little bit less like a wise person. And so having that different banner being done for the Targaryens not only is like a nod back to George's original intended style, but I think potentially says a little bit more about where the dragons came from in Old Valyria, maybe, and like what sort of ancient history might actually be going on in Planetos.
Well, and if you look at like real power that comes from wielding dragons, I guess would be the phrase, or having them on your side, having that species would be
Definitely,
exponentially more powerful than just a dog that breathes fire, you know?
But even at this point, dog that breathes fire is sick.
It is.
If they had them, or even if they don't have them now, but even if they had them in like the recent past, obviously super powerful. But just something to note, not just cool because people are or that they've adapted the original intended art, but cool for other reasons that was the original intended art in the first place.
Definitely.
Okay, so Arion here, a lot of people are saying, where's his curly hair?
Where's his curly hair? Where's his special sigil?
Yeah, that's true. But the vibe of this, I'm not too annoyed about. What about you?
I'm not annoyed about it at all.
I see what they did here.
The thing I like about this moment with him is that you know exactly who he is as a fan before he even says his name. You know exactly who this guy is. And I know he's not perfect spot on, but look how luscious his cloak looks. I knew exactly who this was when we watched this.
Smooth as the Hollywood Tower hotel cloak.
I kind of like, I kind of like his short hair. It's a little, you know.
He's got more of like a Slytherin-y vibe.
He does. He really does.
But like that's okay because over time, you know, he's going to change as a person and become the actual psychopath that he is in the story. And so at this point, like his youthfulness and what happens in this season alone, like getting into the depravity of who he is as a person, I think it could be interesting seeing that style change over time.
Well, yeah, kind of right now he's very clean cut, a little, his back's really straight kind of thing. Yeah, maybe we get the curly hair.
But at the same time, George's original intention of having him already at that point sort of is in line with the accelerated aging of how everyone is a little bit past the point that they're at versus our society. Like this is what he would be if we were using our current timetable. But we were talking about recently how Dunk is supposed to be 16 or 17 here, but it also makes sense that he looks more like 22 through 25 here.
Right.
So I think that element of A Song of Ice and Fire not being translated even in this show is kind of a letdown because there's nothing wrong with having him already being like wild. There's nothing wrong with him already wearing his sigil and being a little bit over the top. That's kind of the style of someone like Brendan Rivers, and that's what he carries. And that's part of the reason why a lot of those people are so scary or so serious in A Song of Ice and Fire, at least. So it gives me a bit of pause that it's kind of Hollywood glammed up for his look here. But at the same time, like I said, there's evolution with him to be had, so it's not,
maybe we'll get to see
that big of a concern.
I think so too. I'm going to wait and hold that judgment until after we see more than 15 seconds of him in a trailer, because we may see his own sigil at some point pop up throughout the series. And that would be cool to kind of get that scary flair that's just his. It separates him from the family, especially when you think about some of his family members that Dunk runs into that are really kind to him, you know, and so it kind of puts him outside of the other experiences that Dunk has had with some of the rest of the Targaryens over the course of the Hedge Knight. But
just kind of gives me a short hair Aegon vibe from Hot D a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, nothing too concerning
just
about that.
Wait
like
till
this
you see,
is being put on primetime television.
Sure. Yeah, wait till you see the TikTok thirst traps. You might change your mind.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. All I got to do is install that app, and I'm sure they're already there.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I haven't seen any yet. I'm sure there are.
All right, let's talk about this puppet show. We talked about it in our first reaction. Holy crap, the scale is crazy. Because in my mind, Tansel and her uncle and the rest of the Dornish folk were standing, you know, at a Ren fair outside of a stall with puppets on a string. Hannah put a cosplay outfit together for Dragon Con with that same exact vibe.
Well, that's explicitly how it's described.
That's true. So Homeboy's hair and look was dialed back to be a little bit less wild, where this was turned up to 11 and became way more wild. Also, this tent rules.
I know.
This is an amazing tent, and it took a lot of work to put up. They've got live fire going off in it. Super risky. The production scale here is nuts.
Great lighting for their show. I really like, though, that they kind of took these dragons over the top.
Yeah, me too.
Let's go, Tansel. I kind of like that they put the dragons over the top, because as we're talking about the decline of the Targaryens And it's been so long since real dragons have been on the earth, and now the Targaryens are just kind of winging it, holding on to their power, and they have to be at this tourney because they need to show face and show force. It makes the threat of the small folk, or it makes the threat of the instability of the realm seem even greater if there are massive dragon
when they're being
dragon
mocked
puppets.
To this scale. Yeah, it's way less passive now.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's way less. It's way more in your face. It's almost it's way more assertive, way more dominance almost to say. It's kind of a middle finger.
No, it is, yeah.
When I was picturing
so him getting angry now makes a lot
it makes
more
a lot
sense.
of sense. Him getting mad. Because when I was reading it and picturing it in the book, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, they just needed a character.
Exactly.
They just had, like, a character. Like,
exactly.
How do you know it's about you?
Yeah, your ego is that big.
Yeah.
You know? But I kind of like that it's in your face in this one. And it's really incredible to see them as puppets. They look so real.
Yeah, no, these are I mean, they're crazy. I'm looking forward to knowing the technology around how they're supposed to be working. This reminds me a lot of the sequence in season 5 in Bravos when they were talking about the War of the Five Kings. And that was such a cool break from the flow of the series at that point when they showed us the actors backstage, and they showed us the narrative through a puppet show.
Yeah.
And they were making fun of powerful people then, but it was way more obvious that they were doing something that those people would be annoyed about. So this is gonna, I think, have that energy, but like you said, the obviousness of it's gonna potentially be dialed up to 11. We've got a polished medium shield, a guy crouching with a torch, what looks to be some kind of catalyst, like propane or something, whatever they have. It doesn't look green, coming out of this puppet's mouth. We've got 2 people steering the puppet.
I didn't even notice that.
The dragon,
just this moment.
Yeah, they're hiding really well.
That's
they
very
got their
cool.
faces covered. They're doing great stagehand work, and the back end of the upper back of the dragon is tied up to the top of the tent. So no magic's holding it up, and it looks like there's some kind of a, like I said, like fuel or something that's making the fire spit. There's probably somebody inside of the costume that's blowing it, or maybe they have like a one of those bellows or something blowing out something that's flammable. And a lot of people online are speculating that this puppet show, instead of being some kind of Targaryen tale, is or some kind of like anti-Targaryen tale, is Serwyn of the Mirror Shield, which is a story that Tyrion spoke about in the OG series, talking about comparing the reputation of Barristan Selmy to a legendary story like Serwyn of the Mirror Shield. So in that story, this guy uses a mirror shield. Same thing happens in Legend of Zelda. You have a really polished shield. It bounces things like magic and fire away.
Nice.
So if that's what's happening here, cool, because they dug into the story to pull something out. And whenever you're making a song or something, it's a really like surefire way to, we have a gap to fill here. Let's just take part of the thing that we already did before and mess it around.
If that's what this moment is, though, which I do like that for the lore, because I love kind of the world building of drawing in old stories and making them commonplace. But then why would
you get annoyed about it?
He gets so mad about.
If it was a very particular story.
Yeah, about that. But
well, maybe that's part of how it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah,
or it's
true.
just somebody using a shield to block the fire, and it's like a nod to that story.
Or we get multiple puppet shows.
Or
that would
since
be kind
they're
of
all
cool.
Dornish, it's a nod toward Quentin Martell, who also could not use a shield that much to his advantage, as far as we know.
That's true. It'll be very cool to see that. And I agree, when you kind of call back to season 5 with Arya seeing that show, it just kind of adds to this culture around this tourney, kind of like the party culture around what's happening at Ashford. And
it's cool
like
that there's night shows.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun. It kind of adds to why somebody like Dunk would want to be out drawing the streets.
It's a bit of a change, though. You know, it's not some day activity. It adds a little bit more fuel to the fire of Arion if it's something that everyone's showing up to at night. There's not any other events going on, but they've all shown up for this like highly technical, pyrotechnical show.
There's revelry and drinking.
He was day drinking for one in the text.
True.
But if it's all done at night, it does turn up the drama just a little bit more.
I think so. I can't wait to see that play out. Dunk looking lovingly at Tansel.
He's like, wait a second.
She's tall enough for me. Hey.
All right, Plumber the Steward.
Plumber the Steward.
Perfect screenshot of him.
Plumber the Steward, it took me a second to remember who this was or to realize who this was because he's so vastly different to the way I read him in the story, which I think...
He was dumpy to me.
Yeah, which I think that's funny, but which I think kind of sets a tone for what we're going to expect from the TV show because I remember reading him as more forceful and dismissive and rude in like we're kind of supposed to be a little scared of him because he's so rude and dismissive. Not because he has any real authority, but he is kind of the gatekeeper for Dunk in the beginning. And so I really read him as a little more stern. And then here he is in the trailer spitting in his cup laughing, just only adding to the fact that this is a comedy and that this character who was once, in my mind, very stern is now a little bit more comedic and laughing in Dunk's face, which, poor guy, that he kind of has to deal with a little bit more nose from that perspective than from the ego blow. Mm-hmm. But yeah, once I realized who it was, I was like, okay, I see what they're doing
What
here.
happens when you don't have a proper name and you come to this place? You wouldn't even have to talk to a guy like him.
I know.
Yeah. I think that his not taking Dunk so seriously that he's spitting and acting like this is a version of sternness. And that whenever the scene is stretched out and not in a trailer, that where we'll get the full gist of it. Especially when someone with authority walks through, he's probably going to correct his posture and his behavior just a little bit, like really quickly. Yeah.
It just kind of added to my underlying worry, and you brought this up as he hacks up a lung. You brought this up in our initial reaction, and as we've been discussing over the last couple of episodes, that we just don't want Dunk to be Dunk the Lunk. And if everybody's laughing in his face, I just don't want to continue to perpetuate this narrative that Dunk has no value add and that he doesn't have the kind of savviness that other people around him have. Because he does have that savviness.
Yeah.
And he does have that kind of youthful spunk and determination that isn't stupid, you know? So,
we'll know that, though, as viewers, because we'll see those scenes when he's laying with Egg underneath the shooting star, and we'll see how he's handling the death of Sir Arlen. We'll see him try to say the words, you know, when he's burying him. So it'll just be that push and pull of, I wish that you would just come right out and say it and tell everyone who you really are as we're watching it. That part of storytelling that annoys us when we're not getting what we want because, you know, you could go back in time and say, oh my God, like you're a famous painter now, like they did in Doctor Who. And you could finally get it, but it'll be like that probably until the Trial of Seven, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about that. It's a little something that's in the back of my mind. As Dunk grimaces.
Humphrey Harding, come on now.
Let's get it. All the heraldry a girl could ever dream of.
Yeah, I think I pictured a little bit more.
Come on.
No, we'll have plenty of shots. We'll have plenty of like close-ups of all that. No, it's very it's realistic. No, we want it to be realistic.
You see the dragon
guys.
coming out of the Targaryen tent? I mean, look at this.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Look at these tents.
Yeah, that's cool.
We got some color here, which is very exciting.
First glimpse of Lionel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm.
The Laughing Storm.
Come on now. Now, this feels like it's pulled right out of the graphic novel to me.
His helm is absolutely unbelievable. I could not be more excited just looking at the way he looks. It does look exactly like it's pulled from a graphic novel.
Stefan's a bully.
The apple shield. I cannot wait for all the apple puns.
Oh my God.
It's going to be so annoying.
Oh my gosh. This one's more rotten than me.
Yeah. Somebody pulled what George said about Lionel Baratheon's actor from after he visited the set last year. He said...
Daniel Ings.
He said, and I quote, "I saw some scenes with the Laughing Storm, played by Daniel Ings, and he was outrageous and fun and Baratheon through and through." And as I was rewatching this scene with that in mind, it made me feel so excited because we get this, we called it fratty, or I called it fratty in my initial reaction to this. But we get this conversation between him and Dunk, and Dunk's got a crown on his head, and I guess they're talking shop. And for our boy Lionel Baratheon to tell him that you have no chance, basically, it made me really excited to think about him being Baratheon through and through. I really can't wait to see his character come to life.
Yeah, no, same. I'm based off of what I've seen in the trailer here. A couple things. That scene that we were just looking at with him and Dunk, and Dunk's wearing the crown, which means that the vibes are high, and Dunk's probably been having some drinks with him. It feels like they've swapped the Fossaway scene,
Oh,
at
yeah.
least speaking about who could potentially fight with him during the trial of the Seven.
Which I kind of like that coming from somebody like Lionel Baratheon. I have to say his full name because the fact that his name's Lionel is...
Yeah, you can say Lionel.
It's just killing me. I kind of like that because he's coming from a little bit more of a position of authority, and he has a nickname, you know? So he's got a reputation, and he's a little bit more of a big man on campus.
Yeah, no, for
than
sure.
our little Apple boys.
But in the text, that's part of the reveal on the morning of the trial of the Seven is that, oh my God, the laughing storm is fighting on my side. And he says, Sir Stefan really came through for me.
That's true.
And he's like, no, man, it was Egg. So Egg, is speaking with Dunk in his cell and knows the stakes of what's happening. And then we see that Egg goes and puts in some work, that he does know the best knights in the realm. And I think that it's not necessarily an unwelcome change, but he's drinking with him, and I know that up until this point, he was worried about losing body parts.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of stressful between being thrown in a cell and the trial of the Seven. And so that swap is interesting. And
I completely forgot about the reveal.
Him also pre-fight is kind of interesting. But I think that we could be conflating some timelines here. Like, he's potentially just struck up a relationship with him, and that he's talking just about the tourney in general.
Well, so that was my other thought.
The actual
like, what if he's
drama.
The guy who gets him in and vouches for him?
That could be a thing.
Potentially,
It's pretty strong to get connected with such a legendary figure so early, and that's just part of the sort of mist, the fogginess of the Hedge Knight is that a lot of that doesn't come together until the moment that Dunk really shows who he really is and what he's able to stand up for.
True. True.
With Tansel. And so I'm just curious how it'll play out. I think that it will make sense over the stretch if they're able to put it in a way where the encounter made sense, or potentially without revealing who Egg is, like how that relationship comes to be. But him drinking with him before the trial of the Seven doesn't make that much sense. I'm thinking either it's happened that way or the timeline shifted a little bit, but I don't think that we're going to get that morning of reveal just based off of this. I think it's pretty much a fact, folks. I haven't seen anyone say that yet, but that's what's happening here.
Yeah, I didn't think about that at all. That's a really good point.
And also Laughing Storm felt a lot like in my brain, because when I read it, it's really what I had to go off of. But I got the vibe of more of a Mark Addy style, Robert Baratheon figure here. And I think that what George said about his aspect of Baratheonism being so accurate is probably true. And I do love the grin and the looks,
the outrageousness,
and the idea of him laughing while fighting.
Yeah,
I think this actor would portray that really well. But he's got more of a sleek Oberyn Martell vibe to me than a sort of bawdy and boisterous Laughing Storm.
Well,
but I think it's going to work really well still.
Yeah, because it kind of makes him like the Laughing Storm to me. He was laughing in kind of almost evilly when he was laughing while fighting.
And Oberyn's got a bit of that dark side too to him. That since he's on your side, it's okay.
But he seems a little silly. But I don't hate that. I don't hate that. So
yeah, I don't hate it either. Just wanted to point it out. A more sexy version of what he would have been, which I think will play well for the screen.
Then we get the shooting star moment between
come on now.
Dunk and Egg. A falling star brings luck to those who need it.
And now it's on the shield.
So the luck is ours alone.
And I think that we're in someone's, maybe Tansel's cabin or her cart or something. We've got the 7-pointed star window. Kind of reminds me of a Dornish vibe. I'm making some big reaches here, but we're looking at the trailer, trying to draw as much as we can out of it.
Maybe that's him with Tansel too.
Oh yeah,
no,
they added that part in. Now we've got "We Will Rock You" playing, a la Knight's Tale.
Surely this is them. Surely this here is the trial of the Seven, because the way I see this trailer is the front half is episodes 1 and 2, maybe 3, probably 1 and 2.5.
It's usually how it is.
And then this is what we're guessing is episode 5 based on the New York Comic-Con panel here at the Trial of the Seven.
Yeah, it could be. I was, going through this and trying to put everything in some kind of timeline. The hit from Arion, of the flail, some people call it Morning Star, but it looks more like a flail to me.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it's at the same exact time, but I think that there was another shot, maybe just the eye hole, watching it at speed in the trailer made me feel like it was more dark. For some reason, part of me felt like there was some kind of a training montage that was happening at night. I think that might be kind of nuts. Or everything that we're seeing looks like it's done during a foggy morning that during some angles looks like it's a little darker. So now that I go through it slow with you guys, it looks like there's no nighttime.
That's what I was assuming, that all of this kind of foggy scenery is from the Trial of the Seven, and that all the other kind of tourney fanfare is from the actual tournament itself, and then the fog settling in is the big moment in episode 5.
Didn't the showrunner Ira Parker say that there was jousting at night at some point though during that panel?
He very well could have. I mean,
someone correct us on that.
The thing that I'm so deeply reminded of the jousting, all I can think about from the Comic-Con panel is how George said they were trying to do the best jousting that's ever been on screen. Yeah. So is that the nighttime jousting? I'm not sure, but
I guess some nighttime fire spinning at the very least. Okay, so this is like the exterior of the Dornish tent, probably.
This show is going to be so much fun.
We do have
the show is going to be so much fun
on the inside, and that's really pretty much it. We could go through a blow by blow of what's available in the trailer, but if you've read the books, you know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
The shot of the boys rolling up. I mean, doesn't get much cooler than this.
Put that on a billboard somewhere.
To the two Humphreys.
Mm-hmm.
Baelor in his borrowed armor.
It will be kind of a shame if we don't get the Lionel reveal here. I
don't think we are, based off of that.
It seems like he's going to be a bigger character, more presence to Dunk in his story throughout the course of the TV show. So.
Or we will get the reveal, and that's what this is.
Yeah.
But to those of you who are just listening, it's that same foggy morning. He's kind of looking like off the side of his horse here. So maybe he's rolling up and he was like, I actually didn't get that hungover last night this morning, and so I'm coming to fight with you.
And maybe he's coming because he has this established relationship with Dunk. Yeah. And maybe it's not the egg helping the situation. Yeah. He's like coming to Dunk himself.
So we're trading a little bit of that agency that Egg stole in some of his voiceover in this trailer and giving it back to Dunk and the relationships he was able to forge during the season.
That's a good point, because then, it makes it makes Egg kind of, because the thing that irked me a little was the falling star moment. Like, that's all Dunk.
Yeah.
Dunk himself has in the trailer, he says, so the luck is ours alone, and such a questioning, kind of looking to Egg as the more sage person in the conversation. And in the book, that's all Dunk being like, the luck is ours alone. This is, I can do this kind of thing. I don't know why that kind of bugged me a little. And then maybe spiral on thinking of what if they make him an idiot. But I kind of like what we're talking about. He forges a relationship with this storied knight himself. And so like the two of them work together to make
it's more even.
I hope it stays even, but that's a good point.
What do you think this is? And this is the shot from the trailer where Egg is running with Dunk's sword, sprinting, looking scared.
Maybe Dunk forgot his sword before his first
that's a new thought.
First joust.
Yeah, I can't really think of like where the Tonsel thing. I mean, I'm assuming the Tonsel thing would be happening the next night or the next morning, the next day from the night scene in the tent. So this is probably, I mean, it's either that or, like you said, he forgot his sword, which would be hilarious.
It'd be kind of funny.
Also pulled directly from a knight's tale. That's definitely Dunk's visor, though. I can tell Steely Pate's craftsmanship from a mile away.
You can. It's not because you can see Prince Arian's helm. I like this shot with Dunk's eyes through the helm because
that's so cool.
We heard so much during the New York Comic-Con panel that this was going to be a very personally shot show from Dunk's POV, and it kind of made me reminded me of the Battle of the Bastards, which felt so suffocating to watch on screen. And knowing that these are kind of some of the shots that we're going to get, It's going to be really cool to, A, not have to be in that situation ourselves, and B, just really like that heart racing fear is going to feel palpable, I think, based on little clips like that.
Yeah, it's just a cooler way from a filmmaking perspective, too. Just to, I always call it shoot the shit out of something.
Yeah.
Like cover from everything possible and see what makes sense. That's clearly what this is. What we have on the screen right now is evidence of what they were saying, the blood in the mud. This is definitely that close up.
The bees are edited out.
Yeah, I don't see any wasps at all here. Yeah, true. Get him! That
Dunk's
shield is so cool.
I was just saying, Dunk's shield looks really good.
And then the trailer wraps up with this tracking shot of probably some kind of a drone, maybe following Dunk directly into the Trial of the Seven Joust.
A Night of the Seven Kingdoms,
January
18th. So there we have it.
Man,
shall we give our very first own for the Night of the Seven Kingdoms TV
Owns of
show?
the trailer time.
My first own is going to go to the very beginning of the trailer when he is asked, "Are you Baelor Targaryen? Then would you move the F out of the way?" Yeah, sorry. Like I said, it makes me laugh every single time. I've watched this trailer so many times. That is so great. Absolutely love that moment. And can't get enough of it, to be honest. And then my second own goes to the scene with Dunk and Lionel Baratheon drunk in the tent and telling Dunk that he has no chance. I really like that. And I absolutely am psyched to see what Lionel Baratheon brings to the table, because I think he's just going to be such a big character in this show. So I'm looking forward to it. So I think those are my two owns.
Own one to Dan Romer, the new composer of the series. Previously worked on Superman, and shout out to Lilo and Stitch. I don't remember which exact one. I also haven't seen a Lilo and Stitch, but
really,
I think it's a big task to dive into the new world, and I liked the happy music at the end. Sound like something I would listen to as a kid, like non-ironically, that I still would now, but I would say it's ironically to this collection of shots at the beginning of the trailer, the more traditional medieval movie, almost saccharine sequence of Dunk burying Sir Arlen, and of the tree and of the sword. Whenever I think of the Hedge Knight, it's what I think of. It's the beginning, and they put it in the trailer.
Yeah,
like I would say word for word.
Yeah,
at least the way that in the language of a trailer, word for word. And the fact that this is on screen is crazy to me. So that's what I give it.
It's been a little while, but we finally had the opportunity to ask for all of your owns, and we asked over on Instagram this time around, so we'll get to you, Twitter. But thank you to everybody who sent in your owns on Insta.
And they're first from Mrs. Duncan the Tall.
We've been waiting for this one.
Own to being alive and seeing this.
As soon as the trailer dropped, I was like, Mrs. Duncan the Tall, are you okay?
Yeah.
Next, we have Ed Bristow 13, who says, "Own to Sir Duncan the Tall, thick as a castle wall," with a muscle arm emoji.
From Michelle Mama, owned to HBO for finally getting something out for us.
G.I. Sizzle, owned my heart, a big, lovable lug, and a squeaky kid ready for the shenanigans.
Jay Grassi, 25, owned a Tonsel Too Tall for having the highest puppet show budget in the Seven Kingdoms.
Edward Bedandon, Dunk is perfect, and a lot of dialogue doesn't seem very GRRM-esque, but not necessarily in a bad way.
From Jason Alden, my own is let me try it again. My own is about fucking time with this series.
JMN Johnson says, "Own to all of the good knights of the Seven Kingdoms."
Tony, how do I say your name? Own to a fake dragon breathing real fire.
And JMN Johnson again, own to dark-haired Baelor.
Tio Conti, own to showing all three of the horses. Love seeing Chestnut, Thunder, and Sweetfoot on screen.
Old Nan was right again, says, owns to a single word that can make us cry. Up.
Oh, man. From Mrs. Duncan the Tall again, own to literally being alive and seeing this. Yes, I called my mom right away. That's so nice.
And again,
also Dunk with, it looks like 15 Ks. Asterisk, sorry, my brain melted since.
Amy4 says, Tonsel's amazing puppet show.
Taco Smash Pasta, owned these beautiful antlers on the Laughing Storm. That man is going to be a menace.
DLogZ13 to the stable boy. Are you Baelor Targaryen?
From Chelsea, owned to Dunk. He is such a handsome beast.
And that's it. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate you sending in your own. It is so fun to read them.
It's glad to know that a lot of you are still alive, too.
Yep. It was good to hear
Truly.
from all of you. So keep an eye out on Instagram, on X. You can send in your owns on any of those platforms.
Also, you can send us an email.
Yeah, at contact@gameofbones.com. Now that our email works again, please.
Why don't we read one of the emails that came in over the past week? This one is from C. Ward. Subject line, Duck and Egg Hype. Welcome back. I was thrilled to see a new episode of Goo in my feed, and hearing both your voices again made me grin more than I would ever publicly admit. The Dunk and Egg trailer is bringing me back as well. I finally read all 3 of these books last year and obviously listened to your podcast alongside it. Did Goo ever finish the Mystery Night read-through? I only ever found 4 episodes and was disappointed that I couldn't track down the remainder of it.
Called out.
If so, please point me in the right direction. Looking forward to yet another series to journey through with y'all. All the best, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, I'm so glad that you asked, Chris, because that's what we're going to get to next. One of the reasons that we paused the Mystery Night was to get to Hot D, and now that we're back in the saddle and we know you're alive and you know we're alive, the Mystery Night will be coming up next, but we will be getting through the novellas first, and the plan is to get that finished before this show airs. So look out for the first call for owns for the remaining portion of the Mystery Night. That way Hannah can actually learn what actually happened at the end.
I know. You're talking about all of this big reveal at the end of the Mystery Night.
I don't want to set you up for too much, but it's about time because otherwise I think you might get spoiled otherwise. Now that people are talking about Dunk and Egg so much.
I know. The fact that I don't know yet, let's keep it that way. This is so fun.
When we started doing the reviews for the podcast, or the read-through for the podcast, a lot of folks really were not talking about Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty quiet period for the GOT universe in general, and we wanted to read A Night of the Seven Kingdoms instead of getting back into Fire and Blood because of the kind of book it was.
Yeah.
And for me, it turned into the most perfect beach read that I've had. I don't know if anybody else has ever read it in that environment, but it was absolutely perfect. So the fact that we get to talk about it on the podcast in a traditional in-season style is nuts. The fact that we've been reviewing, or again, the fact that we've been breaking down a trailer for it is kind of trippy.
It feels like a dream come true, to be honest. Just because for so many years, all signs are pointing to
Children
Dream
of the
On
Forest
about this. Yeah.
Old Valyria. And then maybe potentially pivot to the animated series. But we said it a couple weeks ago or a week ago. Completely a surprise that they actually went through with adapting this for TV, but they've all but confirmed the 3 seasons. I mean, they have confirmed.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's been paid for it yet, but the 3 remaining novellas will be adapted, and we know from words from the man himself that the intention is for Dunk and Egg not to end with the 3 novellas. So depending on what happens with the series, it could go the way of GOT, and we could potentially get some of those seasons first. And I'm not sure how everyone feels about that, but it might be a possibility that happens.
Would you rather have new A Night of the Seven Kingdoms or Winds of Winter?
Definitely Winds, but can I have both?
Which one
At this
will come
point,
first?
we've been waiting so long for Winds, but we've also
can wait a little more.
Yeah, that's a really tough question. I don't know. That might be something to write in about if you have an opinion on that.
Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us.
We're going to get out of here.
We will see you very soon with more A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
See ya.
Bye.